The unexpected guardian. The afternoon sun cast long shadows across the pristine lawn of St. Mary's Chapel. Sarah Mitchell adjusted her simple beige dress one more time, her hands trembling slightly as she held her 6-month-old son, Tommy, close to her chest. The Gothic church loomed before them, its red brick walls warm in the golden light. A red carpet stretched from the entrance across the grass, where wedding guests were beginning to gather. Sarah had debated coming today for weeks. Part of her knew it was a mistake. But Marcus had been a part of her life for 3 years, and despite everything that had happened between them, she felt she owed it to herself to see this chapter close properly. She had loved him once, before everything fell apart. Tommy stirred in her arms, his tiny fist grabbing at the fabric of her dress. She smiled down at him, her heart filling with the familiar warmth that only he could bring. He was worth everything she had endured. Every sleepless night, every struggle to make ends meet, every moment of doubt, it all faded when she looked into his innocent eyes. The wedding guests were dressed in their finest attire. Elegant women in flowing dresses and men in crisp suits mingled on the church steps. Sarah felt suddenly self-conscious about her modest outfit and the diaper bag slung over her shoulder. She hadn't been able to afford anything new, and her savings had gone toward Tommy's necessities. As she approached the entrance, she spotted Marcus through the crowd. He looked handsome in his black tuxedo, his hair perfectly styled. He was laughing at something someone had said, his hand resting on the small of his new bride's back. Jennifer looked radiant in her flowing white gown, every inch the perfect bride that Sarah had once dreamed of being. Sarah took a deep breath and stepped onto the red carpet. Several guests turned to look at her, and she noticed the whispers starting immediately. She had expected this. Small towns had long memories, and everyone knew the story of Marcus and Sarah's broken engagement. Tommy began to fuss, sensing his mother's tension. Sarah bounced him gently, whispering soft words of comfort. "It's okay, sweetheart," she murmured. "We'll just pay our respects and leave quietly." But as she reached the midpoint of the red carpet, disaster struck. Tommy's cries suddenly intensified, and before Sarah could react, he spit up all over her dress and began wailing at the top of his lungs. The sound cut through the gentle murmur of conversation like a blade. Every head turned toward them. Sarah felt her cheeks burn with embarrassment as she tried to soothe Tommy while cleaning herself with the limited supplies in her diaper bag. The stains on her dress were obvious, and Tommy's cries only grew louder. Marcus appeared at her side, but his expression was far from welcoming. "Sarah, what are you doing here?" he hissed under his breath, glancing nervously at his bride and the watching guests. "I just wanted to wish you well," Sarah replied, still trying to calm Tommy. You thought wrong," Marcus cut her off. "This is my wedding day. Jennifer's family is here, important people from the country club. You can't just show up like this, especially with..." He gestured dismissively at Tommy. Sarah felt tears sting her eyes. "Marcus, please, he's just a baby. He's not my responsibility," Marcus said coldly. "We've been over this. I made my choice clear months ago." The cruelty in his voice hit Sarah like a physical blow. She remembered now why their relationship had ended. When she had discovered she was pregnant, Marcus had given her an ultimatum that still haunted her dreams. He had been clear about what he wanted, and she had been equally clear about what she could not do. Jennifer approached, her wedding dress rustling against the carpet. Her smile was practiced and cold. "Marcus, darling, is there a problem here?" "No problem at all," a deep voice said from behind Sarah. "Just a mother who needs a little help." Sarah turned to see a tall man in an impeccably tailored navy suit approaching them. He was perhaps in his 40s, with kind eyes and graying temples that gave him a distinguished appearance. She had never seen him before, but something about his presence commanded immediate respect. The man gently placed his hand on Sarah's elbow. "I'm David Harrison," he said quietly, his voice meant only for her. "May I help you with your son?" Before Sarah could respond, David had smoothly taken Tommy from her arms. The baby's cries immediately began to subside, as if sensing the calm confidence of his new holder. David bounced him with practiced ease, making soft shushing sounds. "There we go, little fellow," David said with a genuine smile. "You just needed someone to understand you, didn't you?" Marcus stepped forward, clearly irritated by the interruption. "Look, Mr. Harrison. David Harrison. The name seemed to have an immediate effect on several nearby guests, who began whispering more urgently among themselves. Marcus's expression shifted from annoyance to uncertainty. Mr. Harrison, I appreciate your intervention, but this is a private family matter. David's smile never wavered, but his eyes grew steely. Is it? Because from where I stand, it looks like a young mother trying to attend a wedding with her child, and being made to feel unwelcome. Jennifer tugged at Marcus's arm. Darling, perhaps we should just. You know, David continued conversationally, still holding the now quiet Tommy, I've found that how a man treats a woman and her child says everything about his character. Especially when that child is. He paused meaningfully, studying Tommy's face with its distinctive cleft chin and green eyes that were unmistakably similar to Marcus's. The color drained from Marcus's face. Several guests had moved closer, clearly interested in the unfolding drama. Sarah felt mortified. Mr. Harrison, please, you don't understand the situation. I understand perfectly, David said gently. He looked down at Tommy, who was now gazing up at him with wide, curious eyes. I understand that this little boy deserves better than to be treated as an embarrassment. And I understand that his mother deserves respect for the choice she made to love him unconditionally. He turned to face Marcus directly. I also understand that Harrison Industries has been considering a significant investment in several local businesses, including the development project your father's company has been hoping to secure. The implications hung in the air like a storm cloud. Marcus opened and closed his mouth several times, clearly struggling to find words. David handed Tommy back to Sarah, but not before pressing something into her free hand, a business card. The baby needed changing, he said loud enough for everyone to hear. Perfectly normal for a child his age. Nothing to be ashamed of. He looked around at the assembled guests with a warm smile. I hope you all have a lovely wedding celebration. Sarah, perhaps you and Tommy would join me for coffee sometime this week. I'd love to hear more about your plans for the future. Sarah stared at the business card in her hand. David Harrison, CEO, Harrison Industries. Her heart raced as she realized who had just stepped forward to defend her. As David walked away, the crowd of guests parted before him like water. Sarah looked once more at Marcus, who was staring after the departing millionaire with obvious distress. Jennifer was whispering urgently in his ear, her perfect composure finally cracking. Sarah adjusted Tommy in her arms and turned to leave. As she walked back down the red carpet, she heard David's voice call out behind her. Sarah? My driver is waiting if you need a ride home. She turned to see him standing beside a sleek black car, his expression kind and patient. For the first time in months, Sarah felt something she had almost forgotten. Hope. Thank you, she said softly, walking toward him and toward whatever new beginning awaited them both.